We got Hasim here, technical specialist with Canon. We got the 1DX Mark II today, and we're here about to talk about the cool features and specs. Tell us what's new.
All right, so for 1DX shooters, we got tons of improvements on both the still side and the video side. Starting with the still side, you got increased resolution, so you're talking 20.2 megapixels. You can make enlargements a little bit better if you wanted to. You've also got a 61-point autofocus system, 41 cross type. You're probably thinking that sounds the same as my 5D3 or 1DX, but we've made a bunch of improvements here. And for one, it's sensitive down to -3 EV, so that's a landscape that's lit by moonlight for comparison. We've also increased the spread, so it's covering more of the frame. And one of the things we heard as feedback from people who were using the 1DX was, hey, I can't see the autofocus points in the dark because they're black. And so we've listened to what users want, and now they're red. And not only are they red, you can actually control them with 2 levels of brightness. So there's normal and brighter, which is really bright, but you won't miss them in the dark, that's for sure. In addition to all those improvements in autofocus, we've added large zone autofocus, which divides it into 3 areas like the 7D Mark II. And there's a new metering system that's tied into it, 360,000 pixel RGB plus IR metering. What this does is it enables flicker detection, so you won't have that flickering in fluorescent light when you are going through your super fast, oh, we're in video, that's why. So when you're going through your bursts, like that, you won't have that flickering in fluorescent light now. And I'll talk about that burst in a second. And you also add the ability to do face detection with intelligent tracking and recognition. It's actually an option in the menu. So you can now have like face detection through the viewfinder, which is a pretty cool thing in a DSLR. You just heard me kind of do this. I did this in the office for 3.5 minutes, and I only stopped because my finger got tired. But with this camera, you've got CFast and CF cards, and so at 14 frames per second with autofocus and auto exposure, I can shoot unlimited until the card's full in JPEG.
Without letting go.
Without letting go. So in sports, that's very useful. You can shoot 180 RAW files compared to less than that on the 1DX. And so if you're shooting RAW plus JPEG, it's somewhere in the range of 80. So that's a lot. So if you're shooting RAW for sports, which is, for sports, you generally have to shoot JPEG to get that buffer depth. For sports now, 180, you're talking at that speed is about like 12 seconds. So you can get that whole football play. And then in addition to that play, if you just keep ripping on it, you can get the player getting up and then he's unhappy with the call and then he punches the ref in the face. And there you go, you've got the whole sequence right there, So it's really cool. And someone pointed out this to me earlier in the day. When you're shooting 16 frames per second in live view without autofocus and auto exposure, 14 width, the Rebel T1i in full HD was shooting somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 frames per second in video. And here you are in stills doing that now. Time marches on and technology is amazing. So I talked all about the still side, right? For video shooters, this is a huge improvement over the 1DX. The big news is 4K. You've got, you seem very happy about that. You've got 4K at 60 frames per second, which is higher spec than some of our cinema cameras. You've got full HD at 120 frames per second, which you can do some crazy slow-mo that way. But for me, the coolest thing about it is, I was talking about how this screen has increased resolution, 1.62 million dots, and I said, oh, that's great. When I take my hood loop, I can put it on there and do better manual focus. And then I realized this camera has dual pixel CMOS AF. So what I mean by dual pixel CMOS AF, watch her face over here.
Wow.
Dual pixel CMOS AF is the same phase detection on the sensor autofocus that is found in the 70D and the 80D and the 7D Mark II. I can tap and it will lock onto a face very easily, and it'll actually, you can see it's racking the focus in the back, in the front, very fast, very accurate, very awesome. And it's the first dual pixel CMOS AF that we have on a full frame sensor, so that 4K video, guaranteed to be in autofocus. Yeah. And so that's a huge thing. And you can actually do 4K frame grabs in the camera, where you actually can go frame by frame and pull out an 8.8 megapixel still image. So huge upgrades for shooters on the 1DX. If you're jumping into a system for the first time, this is the best of the best in the EOS DSLR line, and a lot of great features for anybody upgrading from any other camera. So.
I'm sold. That's awesome. I feel like you answered all of our questions. I think all the viewers want to know, what are the rumors about the 5D Mark IV?
Well, I can't comment on future product plans, but I can tell you that this is not a future product. This will be shipping in May at $5,999, and you can buy it now and get all that awesome quality right now.
You can buy it from this demo right here.
No, I mean, you can't buy this demo right here. Not this one, not this one here. You know, people have been touching it all day. You can buy yourself a new one from Canon or one of our authorized dealers.
It comes out in May, you said?
Yeah, come out in May. But you can pre-order yours now. And actually, now that you mention it too, there's a package right now for the same price as the body only. You get a, it's a special, a CFast card, 64 gig, and a reader as well.
Nice little upsell right there. Well, Wasim, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Yes. Perfect. Nope.